sessions of the day. In the last session, we discussed the deep concepts of absorption, spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission, and the multiplication of photons or multiplication of light by stimulated emission. So we know that the full form of laser is light amplification by stimulated emission. So laser means the light should be amplified, and the light will be amplified only by stimulated emission. So that means, so whatever the photon we have given to the material, the incident photon should stimulate or should encourage stimulated emission. When the stimulated emission takes place, it leads to amplification of light. As a result, we get laser as output. So this process is not an easy process. How we discussed here. Some conditions should be satisfied in order to make stimulated emission. So some conditions should be satisfied in order to make amplification of light. So whenever these conditions are satisfied, then only stimulated emission will take place. As a result, we get the laser as output. So we look into what are the conditions of the stimulated emission. So before going to discuss the conditions of stimulated emission that should be satisfied, so we need to determine the relation between Einstein coefficients. We need to find relation between Einstein coefficients. So what are the Einstein coefficients we discussed in the last session? So we have two letters A and B. The letter A represents a spontaneous emission and letter B represents induced transitions. So what are the induced transitions we have? Two induced transitions are there. One is B12, induced absorption, and the second induced transition is B21, which is induced emission or stimulated emission. And one spontaneous transition we have, that is A21, the spontaneous emission. So A stands for the spontaneous transition, B stands for induced or stimulated transitions. So we have one spontaneous transition, that is the spontaneous emission, which is represented as A21. And we have two stimulated transitions. One is stimulated absorption B12 and one is stimulated emission B21. So we need to find the relation between these three coefficients, that is A21, B21 and B12. Okay, we proceed in this. Now see here, at equilibrium condition, the number of photons absorbed is equal to number of photons emitted. Number of photons absorbed is equal to number of photons emitted, which is equal to number of atoms excited, which is equal to number of atoms in downward transition. this also can be written as number of atoms absorbed is equal to number of atoms makes spontaneous emission plus number of atoms makes stimulated emission. So already we have seen this equation Na, that is number of atoms absorbed, which is given as a B12 N1 rho nu into delta T is equal to, this can be given as, that means number of atoms which make spontaneous emission can be given as A21 N2 delta T plus number of atoms which make stimulated emission can be given as B21 N2 rho nu delta T. Now these equations we have discussed in the last session, and on LHS and RHS delta T is common here, so we can cancel this delta T here. So we have B12 N1 rho nu is equal to A21 N2 plus B21 N2 rho nu. So here if you observe an LHS, there is a term rho nu which is photon density, and RHS also we have photon density. So make photon density term common here. So if you bringing this term B21 N2 rho nu to LHS, so we have B12 N1 rho nu minus B21 N2 rho nu is equal to A21 N2. And making rho nu rho of nu as constant, that is photon density rho nu is into B12 N1 minus B12 N1 minus B21 N2 is equal to A21 N2. So making photon density as subject here, rho nu is equal to A21 N2 by B21 N1 minus B21 N2. Now we have a term here which is rho nu is equal to A21 N2 by B21 N1 minus B21 N2. Now, in order to find relation between this Einstein coefficient A21, B21 and B12, okay, sorry, A21, B21, sorry, it is B12 here. B12 N1. So in order to find a relation between A21, B12 and B21, we need to compare this equation with the Planck's equation. So in order to compare this equation with the Planck's equation, we need to simplify this equation into a required form. So we are just converting this equation into the simplest form to compare with Planck's equation, that is photon density from Planck's theory of radiation. Okay, so in order to simplify this equation, what we are doing is dividing RHS with dividing the numerator and denominator of RH, dividing numerator and denominator of RHS with the term B12 N2. So why we are dividing the term B12 and N2? Only in order to simplify this equation to compare with the Planck's equation from Planck's theory of radiation. Okay. So dividing the RHS, so we have rho nu is equal to A21 N2 divided by B12 N2 whole divided by B12 N1 divided by B12 N2 minus B21 N2 by B12 N2. So similar terms get cancelled here. N2 will get cancelled. B12 will get cancelled. N2 will get cancelled. So regarding this equation, we have rho nu is equal to A21 divided by B12 whole divided by N1 by N2 minus B21 by B1. So we know that we studied in earlier classes that we know that N2 by N1 can be given as e to the power of minus h nu by kT. So from this we can write N1 by N2 is equal to e to the power of h nu by kT. So substituting this N2 by N1 in this place here, we get photon density rho nu is equal to A21 by B12 into 1 by e to the power of h nu by kT minus B21 by B1. So now this is the expression we get for photon density. So comparing this equation with the Planck's equation, comparing this equation with the Planck's equation for photon density rho nu is equal to 8 pi h nu cube by c cube into 1 by e to the power of h nu by kT minus 1. Now this is the equation for photon density from Planck's theory of radiation. So comparing these two equations, so the term of fraction A21 by B21 is equal to 8 pi h nu cube by c cube. So we have A21 by B12 is given as 8 pi h nu cube by c cube. So this is one comparison we get, or one relation between Einstein coefficient A21, that is Einstein coefficient for a spontaneous emission and Einstein coefficient for stimulated absorption. And again, if we compare again these two equations, so the fraction of B21 by B12 is equal to 1. So other comparison we get here, B21 by B12 is equal to 1. That implies we can have B12 is equal to B21. So this is another comparison we have. So these are the two relations between Einstein coefficient. One relation is the spontaneous Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission and Einstein coefficient for stimulated absorption. And one is the relation between Einstein coefficient of stimulated absorption and stimulated emission. So what are the conclusions we have from these two relations here? So if you observe this relation here, which is B12 is equal to B21. So what this equation explains that here, that Einstein coefficient for the absorption and stimulated emission are equal for a material which contains two energy levels. If we consider a material which having two energy levels, E1 and E2. E1 and E2. The Einstein coefficient of absorption is equal to Einstein coefficient of stimulated emission. And from here we can observe here the stimulated emission, the Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission. The Einstein coefficient for the spontaneous emission is proportional to frequency of the photon. So nu represents the frequency of the photon. If the frequency of the photon increases, the process of spontaneous emission increases. So when the spontaneous emission increases, it does not lead to stimulated emission. So for the photon of high frequency, so we have two relations here. One is relation between Einstein coefficient for induced absorption and Einstein coefficient for induced emission or stimulated emission. One is relation between Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission and absorption coefficient. So what the conclusion we have from these two equations here? So if you observe this equation, if you consider a material of two energy levels or atom of two energy levels, E1 and E2, the spontaneous emission, the induced emission is equal to induced absorption, or the induced absorption is equal to induced emission. Now if you take this equation here, now what this equation explains here, now see, this nu represents the frequency of the photon. If the frequency of the photon increases, the numerator of this RHS increases. As a result, the Einstein coefficient for the spontaneous emission also increases. So that means the spontaneous emission will dominate, or the probability of the spontaneous emission increases for the photon of highest frequency. Okay. So as from this equation, what we conclude is the stimulated emission will not take place for the frequency of X-ray radiation. So if you go for high frequencies, stimulated emission will be decreases and the spontaneous emission will be dominated. So if we want to make the dominant stimulated emission, we need to use a frequency of the photon of low frequencies. If you go for high frequency, the spontaneous emission will dominate. So what are the conditions we get from these relation here? If we see here, if you find the ratio between the stimulated emission and the spontaneous emission. So we have considered that the stimulated emission should dominate the spontaneous emission. So when it takes place, So we have equation for stimulated emission. What is the equation for stimulated emission? B21 rho nu N2 divided. What is the emission? What is the equation for spontaneous emission? A21 En2. So N2 will get cancelled here. The fraction of the ratio of the stimulated emission and spontaneous emission can be given as B21 by A21 by rho nu. Now see here, the stimulated emission will dominate the spontaneous emission only when the photon density is very high. That's the first condition. Okay, so when the stimulated emission will dominate the spontaneous emission, then only the amplification of light takes place and it gives laser. That will be satisfied only when the stimulated emission dominates spontaneous emission. When the stimulated emission will dominate spontaneous emission, when the photon density is very high, that means we need to provide more number of or large number of photons. That means high energy. We need to supply high energy to the material. So when we supply a large number of photons, then the stimulated emission will dominate the spontaneous emission. Okay. So let us understand like this. In order to get stimulated emission, we should supply more number of photons. And it leads to again a problem. So what happens when we supply large number of photons? So already we studied that in the previous session. At thermal equilibrium condition, at a normal condition, more number of atoms are there in excited state. That means more number of atoms are there in ground state than excited state. If more number of atoms are there in ground state, what happens? If we supply 10 photons, these 10 photons will not make stimulated emission. Why? Because more number of atoms are there in ground state. So if we supply more number of photons, it leads to absorption. It leads to absorption. So in order to get stimulated emission dominate spontaneous emission, we should supply large number of photons. If we supply large number of photons, what happens? Absorption process will take. That means absorption will dominate stimulation. We are providing photons to get stimulated emission. But practically what will happen inside in the material? It makes absorption process. That means absorption will dominate spontaneous stimulated emission. So what is the second condition that we should satisfy to get stimulated emission dominates absorption process? More number of atoms should be there in excited state. More number of atoms should be there in excited state. Okay. And the third condition that should be satisfied is the stimulated emission should dominate absorption process. Now these are the three conditions that should be satisfied in order to get stimulated emission. So when the stimulated emission takes place, we get amplification of light. When amplification of light takes place, we get laser. Now, how this condition is satisfied? That means more number of atoms should be in excited state. That means we should achieve the condition of N2 greater than N1. And now this condition will satisfy only when we have energy state of high lifetime or large lifetime. What do you mean? Energy state of large lifetime. So when we consider these energy levels E1 and E2, when we consider energy levels E1 and E2, E1 is excited state. What is the lifetime of atom excited state here? 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. So in order to get more number of atoms in excited state, that means N2 should be greater than N1. That means these excited state should have a lifetime which is more than 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. It should not be equal to 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. If the lifetime is 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds, we cannot achieve the condition of N2 greater than N1. Okay, so these are the three conditions that should be satisfied not to achieve stimulated emission. So in the next session, we will discuss how we can achieve these three conditions in order to achieve stimulated emission and in order to produce multiplication, amplification of light and laser output. Thank you.